Let's talk to Connie Shaw now, External Affairs Officer for the Free Speech Union, because she can tell us as well that this is not the only case. People are getting arrested, people are getting harassed by the police on a regular basis, probably a daily basis around the country, for things that they're supposedly saying. Very good morning to you, Connie.
Morning, Mike.
Let's talk about this guy, Robert Moss, who was apparently told by the Staffordshire Police that his right to freedom of expression may be limited or must be limited to maintain public safety and order. What do they mean by that, freedom of expression? Sorry, I suppose you should give us the background to the story as well.
Yeah, so this is another case, yet another case of what feels like this police state that we seem to be living under now. So this is a case of a man called Robert Moss. He worked in the Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service for 28 years, and he's also been a trade union member for about 40 years and a committed Corbynista. And when he was actually unfairly dismissed from his role in 2021, the Employment Tribunal heard. But since then, he's continued to offer his guidance on a private Facebook group for firefighters. On that Facebook group, he was critical of the leadership and the management of Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Services. On the 8th of July, on the Tuesday morning, without any prior warning, he was woken up at 7 a.m. to loud banging, and he thought it was workmen outside. And he then realised it was his front door. He looked out the window to see 4 police officers stood at his front door. He went downstairs in his dressing gown. He'd just been woken up. And when he went outside to speak to them, he was arrested under the Malicious Communications Act on suspicion of harassment without violence and sending an offensive communication. At this point, he had to choose whether he was going to go to the police station in his dressing gown or go back inside and get changed. He went back in to get changed. At this point, he didn't stop the police officers coming into his home because he'd been arrested. He was then invited to sit in the police car whilst 2 of them searched his home, seized 2 phones, a computer and his iPad. He was then taken to the police station. He was sat in a cell until his duty solicitor came. He was interviewed, he had his DNA taken, his fingerprint, his photo, and he said he felt like a criminal, like I'm sure anyone would. And he was interviewed and at that point given, released on bail, and at that point he was given these Orwellian conditions. The conditions of his bail included not only not being allowed to continue criticising Staffordshire Fire and Rescue, but he wasn't even allowed to talk publicly about the fact that he had been arrested.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? And one of the bail conditions also included being prohibited from posting any communication at all relating to the county's fire service. So technically speaking, he couldn't even have said, it's good to see that the fire service are out and about today. Always nice to see them supporting their local community. That would have been apparently against the police bail conditions. Yeah,
absolutely. It's absolutely draconian.
It's insane, isn't it?
It is just insane. And that's why, as my colleague Sam Armstrong said, the police are acting like a Stasi rather than a constabulary. Right. And as you said at the beginning, it is every day that people are being arrested. At the moment, police are arresting about 30 people a day for offensive messages on social media.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you can tell us what he actually wrote, what were the original offending...
Very anodyne criticisms of Staffordshire Fire and Rescue. It is not a crime yet to criticise public bodies that the taxpayer funds.
Yeah. No, of course not. I mean, for example, we used to make a joke whenever we'd see a fire engine racing past through some red lights, then they go off to the Chinese again. I presume if you posted that, you could be at risk of being arrested now.
Well, the issue here, so a lot of the cases, people who are being arrested are often at the behest of people who feel like they're being unfairly criticised. So the complainants in this case is the chief officer and his deputy at Staffordshire Fire and Rescue Service.
Right. So what's the state of the investigation and what's the state of play with regard to his charges, if any?
So what happened next was that he was arrested on the Tuesday, released on bail, and then the following Friday he found out about the Free Speech Union through a friend, and we got in touch with him and he was given a barrister, Tom Beardsworth, who is instructed by the FSU, and he had a special bail hearing in which Tom Beardsworth was successful in overturning those 2 Orwellian bail conditions. So now Robert is allowed to freely talk about the fact that he's been arrested.
Okay.
He's still under investigation, so we don't know what will happen next, but the FSU will be supporting him all the way.
Right.
And I think what's really cool about this case is that my politics and Robert's politics, mine and Toby's politics and Robert's, are oceans apart.
Yeah.
But the point is, we often get we are under fire a lot, the FSU, for supposedly only supporting people on a certain side of politics.
Yeah.
We are non-partisan. Robert has previously publicly criticised Toby in the past, but we are more than that. Doesn't matter to us. We're here to help you for your speech rights.
No, exactly right. And I mean, in your knowledge to what you see every single day, I mean, how many of these cases that start sort of end with no charges at all? Because in the end, surely most sensible people, even judges, would look at them and go, this is ridiculous.
So compared to the amount of people who are being arrested, a fraction of them ended up being convicted.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that doesn't matter. The fact that you're being arrested in the first place, this case is very, very similar to Maxie Allen and Rosalind Levine, who were arrested by a group of police officers in front of their young daughter for criticising her local school.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. Saying that being arrested is not an important and terrible thing to happen. I'm just saying that it proves that most of the actions of the police are actually probably unlawful.
Yes, it's a wrongful arrest. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It is awful. Well, thank you for everything you're doing, and Robert Moss hopefully will be another one of those who doesn't see any charges being brought. But thank you very much indeed. That's Connie Shaw, External Affairs Officer at the Free Speech Union. It is incredible what is going on out there. It really is.